Okay, everyone, full disclosure. I am a huge fan of The Last of Us. I believe it is one of the greatest games ever made, a pivotal game. However, up to this point, I personally haven't been too excited about The Last of Us Part 1 remake, only because I haven't been fully sure of what exactly it is or why it necessarily merits a remake. Was it old enough? Was it outdated enough to get this remake? Blah, 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 right? That is not to say that it should take away from anyone who is excited for it or who wants to get it, or it could be a great jump on point for anyone who has never played The Last of Us and really should, because it is genuinely one of the greatest gaming experiences you could ever have. So recently, actually just last night at time of recording now, myself and my brothers, we record ahead of time for our podcasts, and we recorded our next episode to come out, which is coming out Monday. And in that, we had discussed The Last of Us leaks, which had been coming out during the week. And we started discussing, like, if those leaks are true, what does that mean for the remake and all this kind of stuff. That discussion might now be outdated. We'll see. I'm about to check out the gameplay and features trailer, which Naughty Dog just dropped, and give my reaction to it. As someone who's genuinely interested to see, well, what are the differences? And maybe this is going to be the one that changes my mind and makes me go, you know what? I have to get this game. Or maybe it'll solidify how I already felt, which is I kind of already have the game, and if there's nothing new or different here, then I'm kind of okay to just let this be an experience for people who have never played it. But however, in that podcast episode, which is coming out Monday, we it did lead to a discussion about remakes in general. So we're going to leave the discussion in, even if after we watch this, it's going to be like possibly outdated. There is an interesting discussion around remakes in general that I think is interesting and should stay in. Plus, it shows that we do genuinely record ahead of time. We don't always know what's about to come. But without further ado, got to check this out and just see what it's all about. Here we go. The music is solid for The Last of Us.
More than 2 years ago, when we were finishing Last of Us Part 2, and we were working on those flashbacks within that scene for the first game, we got excited with the idea of like, oh man, what if we made The Last of Us Part 1 to look as good, if not better, than what we have done with Last of Us Part 2, which we really pushed the boundaries of like what we could do from gameplay and a graphical standpoint, and felt like if we do that, we could actually come even closer to our original vision of what the first game would have been had we not been constrained by technology.
Okay. It's like bringing the original up to date to a modern standard.
The original creative vision of The Last of Us,
you'd have to do that every generation, though,
was larger than what the PlayStation 3 was capable of.
The tech of the PS5, it's like an open box of tools and goodies that we can play from and draw from. The 4K, HDR, improved haptics, 60 frames, help us to reimagine The Last of Us. It gave us opportunities to rebuild our characters at the highest fidelity. Not only are the characters more detailed, I mean down to the irises and the pupil depth. You know, you fall into the eyes of the characters.
I mean, it no doubt looks great.
The facial animation.
If you've never played The Last of Us,
believable, like all the nuances,
jump in.
all the little subtle reactions, glances, glares, right? Like you get all of it almost closer to sort of the original performances.
So no matter what, you stick to me like glue. Like glue. Like glue. Got it. Good.
Yeah, that looks fantastic.
You're able now to
it does look
not
fantastic.
only just have the highest fidelity characters in the cutscene, but also in gameplay. It's the same character, so now we can do these seamless transitions in and out. Every part of the game has benefited from seamless transitions and emotional scripting.
Pretty good, huh?
Plus the Left Behind stuff
Our
is good too.
stories happen in gameplay, on a stick.
She knew my mom.
All this stuff is designed to keep you constantly in this world.
That's great.
Ellie, come here. Now you got this. Go.
By the way, if anyone thinks that this whole thing is a
PlayStation 5 is really enabling,
like that Naughty Dog made this just because of the leaks, there's no way that they put all this together in the space of literally like a day or something. As a, like this was coming already, so
bumpables, chippables, breakables, destructible objects in a scene just makes the world feel rich, makes it feel lived in. materials kind of have the properties that you'd expect. The turret truck in Pittsburgh, when it's firing at you and it's just ripping apart the concrete and sending objects flying left and right.
Seeing
Yeah, that's
things
cool.
break, like there's fear. There's a real fear that it invokes.
And it's
Ah,
giving
the
some
bloater.
dynamic range
That I
of
scared the
gameplay to
shit
play
out of
with.
me.
Our AI tech has just increased incredibly. What we were building the basis off of was The Last of Us Part 2's AI. And it has sophisticated systems for things like the fundamental knowledge model of how these NPCs perceive and understand what the player is much more sophisticated.
Now how the enemies are communicating with each other, how they're chasing you, how they're flanking you, how intense that fight feels. It's so much more rewarding coming out of it from the other side.
Okay. But then that AI was designed
One
around
of the
more
other
open
big
areas, right?
improvements is the buddies. The buddies technology that we developed for The Last of Us Part 2 has this very sophisticated understanding of like, okay, this is where the enemies can see their exposure. We not only have exposure, we have future exposure. So buddies can know, okay, that enemy is walking forward and they're about to round this corner. So in 3 seconds, that corner is going to be exposed. So I'd better move now to avoid this enemy seeing me. This
That is a
really
thing
lets the
that did
buddies
happen
make
in the
very
original, where you would
complex,
move and hide,
decisions
and your
maintain that
buddy might not,
feeling of stealth
and
much
the enemies
more
could just see
believably.
them, but they never responded to them because they only ever respond to you.
Another big
And
enhancement
it was always
to
a
the
little bit
gameplay
immersion breaking,
is
so
that
that's a
we
pretty
have
cool
this technology
addition.
called motion matching. Motion matching is this technology that's basically using logic that tries to match the desired movement to a bucket of hundreds of animations. Mocap
Yeah, this
actors
whole
go in
presentation was
run
due
this
to come out
whole
anyway.
gauntlet
There's a lot of
movements to get a really full
work in
set of
what
all
they've
the
picked
different
to
ways
show.
a person can move, and then it's basically every frame trying to find the best matching animation that fits the path of where the character is going to go. And this motion model just gives this really seamless sense of transition. The player's movement is just a
That
lot
winter
cleaner.
chapter
It's this
is
really
terrifying.
smooth, organic movement through the space.
First, we just had to build that core experience, and then beyond
lot of
that,
the
we
game
wanted to add
is
several
terrifying.
features that fans have been asking for. For example, we now have a permadeath mode.
Oh my god.
Along that, we've added a brand new speedrun mode, so players can time themselves. There's a whole community of gamers that just want to see how fast they can play through this game. Beyond that, we added a bunch more
Now streamers will enjoy that.
unlockables. So there's all these different outfits for Ellie and Joel that people can unlock. A model
Okay.
viewer mode, so people could really appreciate the details. We added award-winning accessibility features.
Every single accessibility option that we offer, that's a barrier removed for someone.
As she surveys the apartment, her eyes
I do
wander to
appreciate
Joel. She
more
steps past the
accessibility
couch. He wears
options.
the wristwatch
I think
Sarah
it's a
gifted
good-
him, which now has a cracked face.
It's a good
To
thing.
my
It
knowledge,
can only be a good
this is
thing.
the first PlayStation game that has audio description built into the game, built into the cinematics.
Now it's nighttime. Joel stirs in his sleep.
And that's really the way we've tried to push the frontier of accessibility on this game.
You could experience it like an audiobook. But as well, obviously. There are those who
So
couldn't
much
have experienced
of
it
the
previous to that,
identity
so
of
that's
The
really
Last of
great.
Us is the world.
We revamped completely the art direction. You know, everything from these expansive vistas that not only are they beautiful, but you feel the environments. You feel the environments in a much more visceral way. The rooftops overlooking the Capitol building, for example, like just the breath of fresh air when you go up there and you just like, you feel that sort of release in tension. And then, you know, to juxtapose that down in the tunnels in Wilds, and you get that dank, flooded tunnel feel, that humidity, you can actually feel it. All these environments
tunnels are also
just
scary.
completely reimagined.
Now we got our engine on
I
the
get
PS5,
scared easy
those haptics, the 3D
for, like,
audio, the fast
any kind of
loading.
horror
It
games or
really
scenarios.
creates a much more immersive, and because of that, much more emotional experience.
One of the things I absolutely love with the 3D audio in The Last of Us Part 1 is being able to hear an enemy before they sneak up on you. And trying to do a stalker fight with the 3D audio is just so much fun. You're hearing them skitter around in a different room, and you're hearing them trying to get it behind you.
Yeah, the 3D audio is a cool feature.
Having that two-part
sure.
reaction of like hearing, turning, seeing, reacting, it's just really heightens that sense of just being grounded. You are in this character, you are in this world. Now, with the PlayStation 5, the amount of control that developers have over the DualSense, it's really, really cool. All the guns in the game have a variable amount of resistance on the triggers when you aim them. The way it works with the bow is that at the very beginning, when they're starting to draw the bow, there's a little bit of resistance.
Hey.
And then as the bow gets tauter and tauter, the amount of resistance is increasing. And then when you release the bow, you're also getting that resistance going out of the trigger.
Awesome.
When you are aiming and firing the shotgun,
Bows
you're
work
gonna
well
get
for adaptive
a
triggers,
haptic
I have to
vibration
say.
on the shot.
Played
and
Horizon
then
Forbidden
what
West as
I
well.
think is one of the ways
Good
that
use of that.
DualSense really advances things is you're going to get a haptic vibration on the pump of the shotgun. And what's much more sophisticated about that on the DualSense is that in effect has a little like speaker in it, and it's playing an audio file that comes through in the vibrations, and those two beats is what you're going to feel on the controller.
This looks like a good spot.
This also ties in to the new Workbench Animations. So if you're seeing Joel taking apart a gun or screwing something in or putting a new stock on a gun, that moment where he's like jamming that on, you're gonna get that haptic feedback on that.
Oh, cool.
We have, haptics all across the board, for all the moments you kind of expect, for clambering, jumping, landing, meleeing, getting melee, like all those kind of high intensity moments we have represented in the haptics. What I personally absolutely adore is the way we can enhance the really like quiet, subtle moments of gameplay. So it's like when Joel goes in to pet the giraffe, getting that little light touch of the haptics as he's petting the giraffe.
I'd love to experience that.
To
'Cause
me,
that's such a
the essence of The Last of Us.
pivotal
It's the
moment
high tension moments, it's the low tension
of The
moments.
Last of Us.
It's all
It's
of
beautiful.
it feeling grounded. You're feeling immersed in this world. It's all about bringing you along with that story in as many ways as we can, and that's what
He's
the
right
new
about that.
technology on the PlayStation 5 is allowing.
Was that everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out.
There's something special about the core experience
That's-
of playing as Joel and Ellie on
It was
this
good
journey.
placing it that way. It's
And to
like,
take
well,
that experience
fans, is that
and
everything
really
you're hoping
honor
for?
it and
That's really
keep the authenticity of it,
well played.
but elevate it in every way possible, whether it's pipeline, whether it's art direction, whether it's a technology, everything that allows us to make that experience better. Not different, extremely better. That's why, to me, this is the definitive way to play The Last of Us.
Cool. I think what he just said there at the end makes a lot of sense. That this is going to be the definitive edition, the definitive way to play it. And so again, still for me now, there is some great, awesome features in there. There's a lot of work gone into what they're doing here, and I wouldn't take that away from them. But still, for me, this wouldn't be a day one purchase for me because I there's additions, but it's not a different experience as such, right? But I do think that this is now probably going to, like, if someone hasn't played The Last of Us before, and they really should, because it's absolutely incredible, this would be the best jump on point then, because it's going to have, your first experience with it will include all those, like the haptics and, the best version of the graphics or the best version of the AI. Whereas, like, if I was to play it now, I wouldn't be able to help but just be doing sort of a comparative study in my head as I play it, rather than just enjoying the ride and enjoying the experience. So this is one that down the line I could see myself absolutely getting, but not being in a rush to get it, because it's not like there's something that could be spoiled or ruined on me that I'm like, oh, I gotta get this day one and play it before all the tweets and all come out and ruin something new or special on me. Because it's not like they've done new things with the gameplay or added in new gameplay sections or anything like that. So in that sense, I personally wouldn't be in like a rush to get this game. But I would be one to say, oh, look, if you've never played The Last of Us, that's the one to get. Because it does, it's obviously got those quality of life improvements that the original doesn't have. But yeah, so it's really interesting how this has all come about, and I wonder those supposed leaks during the week. if they were actually leaks of this presentation, because this presentation was obviously already on the way. It's not like they made this as a response to the leaks, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to think or assume, but these presentations don't get made that quickly. So I wonder if it was leaks from this or whatever. And actually, we go into greater detail ourselves in the discussion, even though we hadn't seen this yet, but just in response to the idea of the leaks, of like, you know, how much of the game has changed, and like what makes a remake, what would you want to see from a remake, all that stuff. So that's coming in our podcast discussion, and it will be timestamped for people to jump straight down into it. But now I'd love to hear from you guys. Jump down in the comments, share your thoughts. What do you think about The Last of Us Part 1, the additions that they have made, the quality of life improvements that they've made to the game? Is this a day one purchase for you? Are you really excited to get this and jump into this? Maybe you're excited to do the permadeath mode, or the speedrun mode. Let me know. Or if you're not interested in getting it, why, as well for you, like, why do you not want this game? Let us know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you know exactly when our podcast comes out, and you can check out a much longer discussion with myself and brothers. Thank you very much for checking this out. We'll see you in the next one.